Hey, everybody. Welcome back. You're listening to The Blodgett Show. Want to welcome everybody to this week's Real Talk Tuesday. Today's topic is being safe out here on the road, and this is episode 62. So, once again, guys, welcome. Appreciate you being here. So, being safe out on the road. The kind of inspiration for this topic is kind of from another podcast I was listening to, actually, which, I mean, it's one of those when you're hearing a story and you can kind of guess the outcome, you know? Because this podcast host on this other podcast, which y'all should definitely check out, it's called, what was that like? Being that I'm fairly new, I obviously haven't been around as long as he has, you know, his podcast, but definitely some of the things that, you know, he does, some of the things, like his things on his website and stuff like that, I'm like, I never thought about that. It's actually a really good idea. Because like I've said quite a bit, I don't plan to go anywhere anytime soon. Plan on being around for a while and continue doing these episodes every Tuesday and Friday, and having them posted every Tuesday and Friday between 5 and 6 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I mean, it's definitely made for a little bit. It's taking some getting used to with the with now doing the storytime ones, because before I started doing those, I could easily get the episodes for the next week recorded by the end of the previous week. So I was able to, by like Saturday night, I'd have Tuesday and Friday already recorded, and I would just have to get them edited and, you know, get all the background stuff and all that, you know, all that fun stuff, all the behind the scenes stuff, you know, get all that added, get them uploaded, get them scheduled, and then be able to, you know, basically be a full week ahead each time or whatever. But now it's a little bit more complicated because I'm working on, because I'm doing a little bit more. So I got to do the stories, got to get those written, and then usually before Tuesday comes up, I've already gotten that episode edited and scheduled. But lately, for Friday, usually by that point, I've tried to set aside time sometime during the week to be able to, you know, isolate myself in one of the rooms and pretty much get that episode with the story recorded, you know, get it all ready to go. Usually it's a little bit ahead of time. This week it literally was done on Friday. Like, I was surprised I actually, I was surprised that I functioned as well as I did out here, because honestly, like, that was, as those of you who have tuned in on that episode, which, you know, if you haven't, feel free to go back, because, you know, I'm doing a new story every week. For those of you that are new, let me give you a little rundown, I guess. But this podcast, initially when I started, it was basically real talk, Tuesdays and Fridays, just random topic I might think about that day. That's what we're going to talk about, you know, anything I found interesting, anything I thought was important, you know. And then I changed it up about a little over a month back, so I've been doing, because I've got like 5 stories now, so it's been about 5 weeks. Basically, now it's Real Talk Tuesday and Storytime Fridays. You know, and that might change a little bit too. I mean, Storytime Friday, that's not going to change. I'm going to keep doing that, but Real Talk, maybe that'll, you know, I mean, I wonder if I should just really go hardcore with the story writing and have Storytime Tuesdays and Fridays, but, you know, I thought, well, this way at least, Real Talk can be for anybody who doesn't really want to necessarily listen to a story, but wants to just hear, you know, just your average podcast, just talking about whatever. And then the story time can gear towards people who don't like to hear people just talk, they can listen to a story, you know. So, but anyway, enough rambling, but I want to welcome everybody here. So I was listening to this one of the episodes of What Was That Like, where basically this podcast host. Sorry guys, I'm a little tongue-tied there for a minute. I am mostly better from having been sick all week or whatever, but still kind of a little bit out of it, you know. Even with being sick, I was still out here running my load, going up to Illinois and back, so I finally can see the tail end. But of course, then it's like, yeah, but how much, like how long till the grandson brings something else home from the daycare? Because like literally since he started going to daycare, like me and the wife and the kiddos, basically first the grandson comes up sick, and then next thing you know, like the rest of us are sick. I'm like, I'm one of those, like, you know, wash my hands after I go to the bathroom, you know, try not to, like, literally, if I come out of the bathroom, if I have the option to not touch the handle, like they have the little foot thing, you can put your foot on and open the door that way. I'll try to do that. I'll admit I haven't worn a mask in a while, but I do have my FedEx face mask, technically, you know, that I've had, you know, it's been through a lot, you know, with COVID and all that stuff. Still have it around. It's a cloth mask, so it's been washed quite a bit. But that's always been on me. I just haven't used it in a while because, of course, like we've gone past the main part of the pandemic, even though COVID's still out there and stuff. But I've been in bathrooms before where, you know, as I'm washing my hands, you hear a toilet flush, and then, you know, a guy comes out of a stall and just walks straight out the door, and I'm like, okay, that's nasty. Although I learned something the other day when I was up here in Farina, up here in Illinois, in my Illinois drop. They have 4 stalls, and I thought they were just regular stalls. But like each stall, the wall that's 100% fully surrounded. Like there's no gap under the floor, no gap between stalls, so you can't see the feet of the person next to you, or whatever. So I always thought that was cool. But then yesterday, I kind of realized why that is, because apparently the first stall is a regular stall, you know, one of the smaller ones, the regular size. And then you go to because there's 2 stalls on each side, and the stall on each side on the back of the hallway. Because I went ahead and had to use one of those stalls, because of course I wasn't going to make it too far from my swap for having to, you know, take care of business. Went to use that stall, realized, holy crap, those stalls are actually like half the length of that hallway, and they not only have a toilet, but they have a sink, you know, soap dispenser, and a paper towel dispenser, and they're a trash can. I'm like, so they got like literally 2 small bathrooms in the bathroom. So I was like, that's cool. I was like, well, shit, I didn't, you know, because I'd used those stalls before, but I hadn't used the big ones. I'd only gone to the first ones, thinking that they were all, you know, regular size stalls. I was like, well, shit, I would have gone down there if I realized. But anyway, so, but yeah, check him out. You know, who knows? Maybe he'll come across my podcast and hear me shouting him out or whatever. But really good podcast. I've actually been almost listening to his show exclusively lately, because, you know, it's kind of how I am. If I get on a show I'm like, oh wow, this is really, I'm really enjoying this. I don't really jump around between listen to a show here, listen to a show there of different podcasts. I'll be listening to that one pretty much exclusively until all of a sudden, oh crap, I'm out of episodes. Shit. So then I'll go find something else. But yeah, really good show. So it's called What Was That Like? And you know, since I know we're all of us podcast hosts, we're all out here trying to do the same thing or whatever. So check him out at whatwasthatlike.com. So anyway, back to the show. And someday soon, hopefully, I'll be able to give you guys the website for the Blotcha Show, because I've got the domain name. Just gotta get the hosting for it, and you know, be able to actually set up an official web presence with you know, for the Blotcha Show, whatever. Have a bunch of information on there, different ways to support and whatnot, which is another thing that's like, you know, listening to him, and I'm like, that's actually a really good idea. I didn't think about that. So you know, you got to be open-minded. You gotta be willing to listen to other people, and be willing to adapt and learn. And I was like, man, that's cool. Because obviously I want to continue to have the success that I've been having with this show and stuff. And so, those of you out there who've been with me for a while, before we start, I just want to say I appreciate you guys. And one way that you guys can support the Blondie Show is by subscribing, or by obviously liking, following, sharing. Tell your friends, and on each of the show notes there's a link for basically it's a tip link. It's like anyone with these, like, I don't know if I put it as low as $1, but I know it's like 5, 10, 20, 50. You can put a custom amount in there. It's basically, it's like a one-time donation if anybody wants to support the show. But anyway, on with the show, guys. So tonight's topic was kind of inspired by the episode I listened to before I got up there to my Illinois drop. Basically, it was about he was interviewing this guy, was talking about how it was him and five of his buddies. So there's 6 guys in total, and they all got together and went out to this lake house around the 4th of July. And I guess they're just past the 4th of July. They were going to be there for like 4 days or whatever. And they did like their own fireworks show, it sounds like, where they went and got a crap ton of fireworks. They had a bunch of different types of fuses that they connected to them, to the ones that would burn a little faster, others that burn a little slower, so they could literally kind of like set them up and time it, kind of. And then I guess they wanted to do another show, so they all piled in the car, which that was one thing too, was 6 people in a car that only seats 5, so they had one person that was in the I guess it was kind of like a hatchback, so there was somebody that was in the trunk technically of the car. So they went and got fireworks, loaded up, like bought a whole crap ton of fireworks, and then bought like, I don't know, 5 or 6 12-packs of this. I think they said it was like peach soda or something, that they were like, oh my god, it's so good. I'm like, yeah, sounds okay. I don't think I would drink. I mean, I think I would like the flavor of it, but I don't think I would drink too much of it because of the diabetic diagnosis. Unless I needed the sugar, I would do. Then I'd probably do it. But they, on their way back, this guy's best friend was the one driving, and they were going down a gravel road that I guess was like supposed to be 40-mile-an-hour speed limits, and I guess they were, the guy was, they were being reckless, kind of. He was going 80, it sounds like, speeding down this road, which had those little small hills that if you're going fast, in some movies when you see like cars racing down a hill, either gravel or not down a hill, but down a road, either gravel or pavement, and the road does that little kind of a hump where like it's going up and then it crests the hill, goes down, but the car comes over the hill so fast that it leaves the ground for a minute, and then you hear as it hits the ground and the tires hit the ground. Well, that's how fast they were going, and from listening to the guy talk about it, I don't know exactly what caused it. I think what happened is probably the road, be going so fast, the road probably curved, and like had a turn all of a sudden, and going so fast they probably couldn't make the turn, and so they went off the road. The car flipped a bunch of times, went into the woods, took out some trees, and they were all really badly injured, but the guy that was telling the story said that he was in the front passenger seat, and everybody was alive and conscious initially when they all came to, technically in the woods in the car, but they had to get like cut out of the car because the car was all mangled around him. And the guy telling the story said he was life flighted, because I guess he was like, oh, I'm fine, I just can't feel my foot or can't feel my leg. So he got flown to the hospital, whatever. And then like over the next 24 hours, when he's asking about his buddies, you know, like, hey, what happened to, like, where were they at? Like, how are they doing? And they're like, oh, well, the guy that was driving, that was the one, you know, his best friend, he didn't make it, and one of the other guys didn't make it either. And of course, we found that out. He's like, yeah, you know, talking about how it could have all been avoided if they weren't being stupid. And, you know, the sad part is, like, when I was hearing that story, it was like, I already kind of I had an idea, you know, what was probably going to happen. That's when they're talking about, like, the speed limit's 35 or 40 on this gravel road. It's not a very wide road, and we're clocking 85 going down this road and hooting and hollering and, you know, woo, yeah, woo. I'm like, oh crap. I was like, they're gonna get into a bad wreck, and so it's like, you know, stuff like that, like wearing your seatbelt. Because the guy was telling what happened. He was talking about how, like, if he wasn't wearing a seatbelt, there's no doubt in his mind that he would have died, because literally the seatbelt, he was kind of like, he doubled over in the seat as the car was flipping or whatever, and the seatbelt was almost like it locked. You know, when, like, sometimes you'll try to sit forward in the seatbelt will lock, and you have to sit back, and so you'll be able to lean forward again. Well, the seatbelt locked, so basically, like, he mainly, it was just his leg, and then bumps and bruises, but, you know, the guy in the trunk, surprisingly, he survived. He got thrown from the car, but he had like head injuries, pretty much, but he still survived. But then, you know, two of the buddies inside the car didn't make it or whatever, and it's like, some of that stuff, you know, when you go out messing around, showboating or whatever, and then somebody gets killed, you know, it's like we have to live with that for the rest of our life, right? You know, especially if I mean, thankfully, I've never had that. I've never been in a situation like that where I've been out with friends and something happened and one of them got killed. Thank God, you know, because I know that I would be held to deal with, but I know that I would, if it was something that I dealt with, I would basically be thinking about that the rest of my life. And so, point of this episode, guys, you know, like I said, when you know, random interesting topics, and I think this kind of information could definitely be helpful. Maybe, who knows, maybe it can save lives, because I know there's maybe somebody out there, you know, that might be like, hey, let's go out and go cruising, and let's go speed down the road at 120 miles an hour, you know, let's go drinking while we're doing it, you know. They weren't, I mean, these friends weren't drinking, but, you know, a lot of times when accidents like that happen, usually there is alcohol involved a lot of times, but they were just going way too fast. They were like 50 miles an hour over the 40 or 50 miles an hour over the speed limit on a dirt road that was not very big, and, you know, that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that the road curved all of a sudden and they went off the road, flipped end over end a couple times, and, you know, so, well, maybe somebody out there that might be contemplating going out and driving reckless and not wearing the seatbelt or whatever, maybe they come across this show, maybe this is the first episode they hear, maybe me talking about this makes them think about it first and not go out and do it, you know. If that's the case, if I've saved even one life by coming on here and using my quote-unquote platform to talk about this topic, if it saves even one life, then hey, I guess it's worth it, right? So when you're out there, when you go out, you know, especially when you're driving, seatbelts are a must, because, you know, there's been so many times where they've shown that somebody got killed in a car accident by being thrown through the windshield, or, you know, being thrown into the dash, or whatever, and you know, that if they were wearing their seatbelt, they I mean, obviously there's always that chance that they still may not have survived, but there's a much higher chance that they would have, because it would keep you in place versus let you fly around like a rag doll. Like, I mean, I guess technically I have known a few people back when I was a bit younger, I think just out of high school or whatever, where actually I think it was my senior year. There's somebody in our graduating class that there's a couple people that were, I guess they're out doing basically this thing. You know, they were out racing down the road, going over the speed limit, weren't wearing their seatbelts, and a car pulled out in front of them, and they hit them, and the driver and the passenger in the front basically went through the windshield and hit the other car and were killed instantly. And at least one of the passengers in the back died the next day, and the other person was basically paralyzed. So it was like people that we went to school with that we knew, and it could have been, and basically like none of them were wearing seatbelts. Versus like they said in that accident that if, based on the fact that the only damage to the car was basically the front end, if the passengers and the driver had been wearing their seatbelts, they probably would have walked away from that accident. But sadly, 3 of them died, and one of them was paralyzed for the rest of their life. And you know, it's stuff like that it could be avoided. You know, if we just do what we're supposed to do, like if we just, you know. Now I'm not saying I'm perfect. Like I'll admit, like especially when I'm in my, because I mean obviously out here in the truck, I can't really speed because we have a governor on the truck. So those of you car drivers out there, you know, if the speed limit's like 75 and you see us cruising along at 65 or 68 or whatever it is, you know, or sometimes 60, because that, you know, the governor, tractor trailers a lot of times, especially if they're company drivers, we have what they call governors, speed governors on the truck. Like literally the max speed on this truck shows like 90, but with my like a lot of these trucks, you literally have your foot on the floor with the accelerator, or as you guys would call it, the gas. We don't use gas in these trucks, we use diesel. This is for all you non-truck drivers out there that might, you know, just give you some tractor trailer education. But a lot of us can have our foot literally, and there's been times where I do, like I won't have the cruise on, I'll just have my foot literally on the floor, and I'll be maxed out at 65 or 68 or whatever it's set at for whatever truck I'm in. I had one truck that was set at 72, and that was pretty awesome. It's like be able to keep up with all the other traffic. But a lot of them are like 60 or 65, you know. So, but like I said, I'm not perfect. So when I'm out like my personal vehicle, ever since I started driving, I've always had a habit of keeping it between like 5 or 8, no more than 8 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I never knew. I mean, I was just kind of guessing. It's like I was doing that thinking, well, I mean, I should be fine, because I always noticed that if I was like 8 miles or less over the speed limit, that I would pass cops, and I would rarely. I think I might have got pulled over like once in all the years. They didn't even give me a ticket. They just, yeah, you just need to slow down a little bit. I'm like, okay, cool. I apologize, sir. You know, I apologize. Or apologies. I apologize. You know. But most of the time, it was anytime I accidentally went over 10, and I say accidentally because I don't deliberately do it. So I'm sure some of you drivers out there can relate, where you got ticketed for speeding, and it might have been you weren't paying attention to your speed, and part of that was, like, for me, like accelerating on an on-ramp to get on the highway, and not having a governor on that truck. So being able to, literally that truck, I was able to go as fast as I wanted, and I had my kid in the truck with me. She was out with me that week, and when I accelerated, it was like 65 was the speed limit, and as soon as I got on the highway and something fell, and I was grabbing it, I was still watching up front, but I wasn't watching my speed. I was kind of like doing the whole where you're looking up front, where you're leaning off the side to grab whatever it was that fell, but I wasn't paying attention to the speed, and I was accelerating until I happened to glance up again, and I noticed cop sitting off to the side, and I happened to see my speed. I was like going 74 to 65. Oh shit! You know, so of course I I slowed down or whatever, but it was too late. The cop already pulled out, and within half a mile, he was behind me with flashing lights. So I pulled over or whatever. Because my kid was hanging out in the bunk, playing on her tablet or whatever. And I was like, hey, jump up here and sit down, put your seatbelt on. So, wow, what's going on that we're getting pulled over? Oh, crap. Did you get in trouble, Dad? Like, probably going to get a ticket. But, and I, of course, I had to be like, I still got ticketed, but he gave me a little bit of a break. But I had to be like, I apologize, sir. I didn't realize I was getting on the on-ramp back there. I wasn't paying attention to my speed, so that's my screw up. He said, well, I should write you a ticket for going like 12 over the speed limit. That's $150 or $250 fine. If I'm gonna write you up for going 10 over the speed limit, that's like $100 fine. All right, well, I appreciate the break, sir. Thank you so much. But normally I try to keep the speed down, but you see some of these accidents though, where the people like, it's interesting. I'll be out here on the road, and I'll be going down the road, and I'll be going like I said, speed limit's 60 or 70, and I'm going max speed, 65 or whatever, at the truck. Or maybe the truck happens like 68, max speed on it. And I'll be going down the road, all of a sudden the car will just fly by me to the point where I know that even though I might be 5 miles below the speed limit, I know damn well that they aren't going 70. They're probably going 85, 90 because of how fast they zip by. And so my first thought is, well, I'll see you down there after you wreck, because cars that are speeding down the road like that, a lot of times, especially when they get into a cluster where there's other vehicles that they're coming up on or passing or whatever, a lot of times they can't change lanes effectively without accidentally clipping somebody or doing something, or they might rear end somebody, so then you end up getting down the road a little bit. All of a sudden there's like a 10-car pileup, because they took out one car, and the two of those cars losing control took out a couple other cars. So it's like, well, you can almost like foresee it, like when you see drivers out here doing stuff they shouldn't do, you can almost kind of, I'm trying to think of the right word. Could almost predict it. That's probably the right word. Yeah, predict. You can almost predict that a little ways down the road, you're probably gonna be sitting at a standstill because there's gonna be an accident blocking the road because somebody couldn't just drive normal. They had to drive, And I get it, I get it. You have a fancy car. It goes 100, the max speed of 140. So you wanna get out there and like let loose, whatever. Okay, that's great, But, and maybe on the interstate when there's nobody out here, then yeah, except for when you pass a cop and then you get a $2,000 ticket. I guess if they can catch it, right? But, but if you're out here and there's a lot of cars out here and you're basically doing that stuff, then you're putting other lives at risk too. Because sadly, there's times where I've seen accidents that were caused by a driver going 25 or 30 over the speed limit, and they survived, but the other cars that were involved in the accident got killed. It's like, well, that's not fair. I was like, people that weren't even doing anything wrong, and they're the ones that died, the one that caused it, walked away from it, So the point of this episode, guys, is when especially anybody you don't drive, obviously this doesn't apply to you necessarily. Might apply to you a little bit if you ride with people that drive like that. You might want to tell them, hey guys, like, I really don't want to die. So can we please drive normal, slow down? I've even been in cars before with friends that were wanting to speed around and stuff like that. And I had them drop me off because they were spinning circles and driving donuts in split parking lots, and then driving down the city streets 20 miles an hour over the speed limit. And I finally said, hey, can you pull over? Because I gotta go. What do you mean, man? What do you mean? I said, I can't do this. I was like, I got my family at home, and my parents would, I don't really want to have them get that call that something happened. So if you want to keep doing this, it's fine, but I gotta go. Come on, man, are you having fun? No, not really. I was like, I'm shitting my pants over here. Because there's having fun and then there's being reckless. So it's just not worth it. You know, like, come out here. Well, that was what the point I was trying to make for those of you non-drivers. If you ride with anybody that does drive like that, then don't be afraid to tell them, hey, let me out. Call an Uber, get home safe. You know, it's not worth your spouse, kids, parents, siblings, whatever. It's not worth all of them getting a phone call. You know, I always love when the truck just slows down to like 40 and then puts their flashers on and gets over on the side of the road, and I'm like, I know what I do is I usually will throw my flashes on just before I get over on the shoulder, and then I'll start gradually slowing down. I don't get like way down below the speed limit with traffic behind you, and then get over. Like, oh, by the way, I'm almost stopped. Let me pull over now. It's like, no, dude, come on. That's not what you're supposed to do. But hey, you know, it's all good. You know, at least I'm not like my wife as far as, you know, if other drivers do stuff or do things that they shouldn't do when she's driving or whatever. Literally, she'll be like, I'll be riding with her and she'll start screaming at him from inside the car. What are you doing, you motherfucking son of a bitch? I'm like, you didn't realize they can't hear you, right? So you're just like making me go deaf over here. She's like, whatever. Like, you know, you could just grumble to yourself. I mean, makes the same effect. Like, you know, you're not gonna, obviously they're still not gonna hear it, but you're still gonna get it off your chest, you know. But I don't have to lose my hearing over here. But so, point is, non-drivers, be safe, be willing to get out, just take an Uber to get home, you know. Especially if they're not just driving reckless, but they're, you know, let's say there's alcohol involved. Yeah, definitely get another ride home. You know, make it home to your family and stuff. It's like the one thing that literally every time I leave to come out here to do this route, do the 540-mile round trip. It's like every day, most days anyway. Like, I haven't heard from her tonight, but most nights, literally, my wife will message. She's like, please, 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 get home safe. I'm like, yes, ma'am, I will. I was like, I'll do my best. She goes, no, doing your best, Christopher. Get home safe. Yes, ma'am. And then you're changing lanes and there's no one beside you, and the thing beeps like, there's someone. No, there's not. There's nothing over there. If any of you drivers out there, if you have that distance sensor on your trucks, I'm sure some of you experience the same stuff I experience, where sometimes I'll be going down the road and it says, all of a sudden starts flashing, collision warning, and I'm thinking, I just hit a ghost here. So cover the non-drivers. So those of you drivers out there, just be smart about it, right? You know, like, let's not drink and drive, let's not do drugs while we're driving, you know, let's try not to come out here impaired. And let's try to keep the speed down and drive safe, you know? Because one way that I'm trying to, because both my kids are actually, you know, they still need to get their license, and they are aspiring drivers, I guess would be the right way to describe them, because they want to drive, they just aren't yet. I mean, obviously we got to get one in the car, which I'll be doing that in March. Be picking up a car for my parents. Used to belong to my grandparents. That's gonna temporarily be one of my kids' cars, but since it's been in the family for so long, my oldest already knows. So I was talking to her about it. Tell her, like, look, I know that this isn't your dream car, but it'll be a car for you to drive. So, so when you're driving this car and then you eventually can get the car you want, then we'll keep this car, because obviously it used to be your great-grandparents' car and we want to keep it in the family or whatever. And she's, yeah, I understand. But that's how I'm kind of giving them pointers and tips, you know, before they even drive. I'm kind of doing the whole, all right, guys, so, like, did you see that happen over there? Yeah, don't do that. Did you see that person, what that person just did? Yeah, don't do that. You know, and I'm like telling them things like, you know, what I've learned since my time of driving, you know, especially like the speed. like how much over the speed limit you can effectively safely go without a cop, jumping all down, without a cop giving you a ticket. And like literally, the last ticket I had, which was been a couple years, I was going like 82 and a 70, and it was, again, I wasn't paying attention to my speed because cars were passing me going faster, and I wasn't paying attention to how fast I was going. I thought, I didn't look, and I should have. Cop pulled me over, gave me a ticket, and then he he told me to, hey, go ahead and fight this, go ahead and take this to court, and I will not contest it. Like, I was like, oh, okay. Thinking like, well, if you want me to go contest this, then why are you even giving me a ticket? So, but hold on one sec, guys. Got to take care of something. Stand by. I will be right back. All right, guys. Appreciate you hanging in there with me. Sorry about that. Just had to go take care of something. I wasn't sure how I was gonna go about that. I was like, oh man, I gotta do such and such. Daily had to pull off and hit a quick truck stop really quick. I didn't necessarily want to end the show right at that minute because I think we still have a little bit more we can talk about, but so I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me. But yeah, guys, like, if you're gonna go out and drive, keep the speed down. What I was saying about the cop, the one that gave me the ticket and told me, yeah, go, if you want to fight this, go ahead. I will not contest it at all. You can go ahead. And I'm like, huh. I'm thinking, well, like, why couldn't you just not give me a ticket to begin with? Quota, probably, And I always love too when you get to it's kind of random. I don't know, those of you other drivers out there, when you fuel your truck up, it's like somebody spilled diesel fuel on the ground. It's almost like you get it on the bottom of your shoe, and then you get in the truck and you're trying to like shift in your driver's seat or whatever, and like that diesel fuel on the bottoms of your shoes, like it like literally makes me, even though I'll have like this, there's a mat on the floor, on the driver's side here, but literally if I get anything like there's diesel on the ground, I get in and it's like my feet are all slipping around, like I have to give it a little bit before I can move, and I'll actually have really good traction by that point. But at first it's like I can't try to like adjust in the seat a little bit because my feet will literally just slip as if I'm on ice in here, And it's like, man, what the fuck? Who knows, man? Who knows? But when I got that ticket with that cop, I was thinking he was just not going to show up to the court, because that was the first time in a while that, it was the first speeding ticket that I was going to court for. Like, I kind of had learned, and I talked about this some of the first episodes, about like, if you get a ticket, go to court. No matter what the ticket's for, go to court. Because the odds are is that, from what I've seen, and I didn't know this throughout the many years I was driving, and I wish I did, because I've gotten other tickets in the past, and I basically just, usually as a speeding ticket, I would just pay the fine because, well, obviously I was speeding. I'm not going to say it wasn't. So, but now, after going through those situations, then again, if you want to know more about them, I think it's within the first 10 or 20 episodes, I think. Pretty sure. Or we're up at 62 now, so we go for quite a while. But when talking to throughout those other incidents that I went through, I never had to worry about, will the cops show up? Literally I was just going to court to talk to the judge and whatever, and the judge was like, so government versus Christopher Blodgett, the charges, one of them I was actually like not supposed to be on the interstate and the turnpike up there in New York because it was closed, I guess a blizzard that came through, and I didn't know at the time that there was that there was a truck ban, and I didn't know that there was an app that you could download for the New York Thruway that would tell you that. You know, so I was asking around and nobody knew. And there was a big pile up on the road. Everybody that was stuck in that accident that was a tractor trailer, we all got ticketed for being on the road we shouldn't be. I went to court and fought it. It's like I got a ticket because my phone fell out of going through Georgia one night with the carrier I was at before I came over here to FedEx. My phone was up on the phone mount on the dash, and I guess I hit a bump and it came out. Like it wasn't very snug phone holder. So literally it came out and fell on the floor. And so I bet, you know, just reached down really quick. Still, of course, keeping my eyes forward, but just like leaning down and feeling on the floor and grabbing the phone. Picked it up, put it back up on the thing. Half a mile later, I had flashing lights behind me. I was like, oh crap, because I wasn't speeding or anything. So I was like, oh shit, you know. I got ticketed for holding my phone while driving, and I'm like, yeah, but you know, I wasn't using it though. I literally like it fell, and I was just grabbing it, putting it back up there. So I went to court for that one, and on both occasions, on that one and the New York one, I had before that I hadn't gone to court, but the Georgia ticket was the first one, and when I got that one, my driver manager actually called me. Like I thought it was going to take a while for the company to find out that I got a ticket. Now they found out really quick, like literally half an hour. He called, yeah, we just got notified that you got a ticket from the Georgia Highway Patrol for operating your phone while driving. It's like, so I was like, no. I always love when it says you're encroaching on the line, and I'm like, I'm not even going anywhere. I'm literally like, stay straight. So that was where I learned to take it to court. Don't don't just accept the ticket or whatever. And it's not like, I mean, you can, but then of course you're dealing with like the insurance hikes and stuff like that and stuff. So, but you know that was, but then with the cop, that was, you know, get back to that story. Get back to the cop that gave me the speeding ticket a couple years back. He actually, surprisingly, I was expecting to not see him in court when I went to court about 2 months later. Because I learned from the previous court case, the previous tickets, to go ahead and plan to go to court or whatever to try to get it reduced, and that way have it not go on my license. And especially because 82 to 70, I knew would potentially affect my career with FedEx. I could get terminated for that, but. So told my boss about it. Told me, yeah, I just got, you know, they clocked me at this, but I'm gonna go and find it so that way I can get it reduced to get it taken off, so that way it's not. He's like, yeah, it's probably a good idea. But when I went through that court case, basically the cop showed up. I was like, crap. I was like, I thought he wasn't gonna find it, but he was there, and he, you know, each cop that gave tickets to different people, whatever, they had to stand up there and kind of give a rundown for the judge. Yeah, you know, I was patrolling on such street, and so-and-so passed by going this fast, and pulled them over at mile marker this, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, they really, like, keep a record of everything. Yeah, literally just passed the truck that was going a lot slower than the speed limit. I get past him, and the next thing I know, he flew past me, and he's like way up ahead. I'm like, okay, if you can go that fast before, then why were you hanging back? Go like 55. Never understand that, man. Never understand that. Or cars, when you're going the speed limit, and like everybody's going the speed limit except one car's going like 50 out of it, a 70. Like you get behind them and you can't get over because everyone's passing them. You're like, shit. So, but at the end of that court case, to get more to the point, you know, you guys know me by now. After all these episodes, you know, like I try to stay on topic, but I might veer off a little bit. But then I try to make my way back, you know. That's how my mind works, so I apologize if that annoys you, you know. But that's me, guys. This is me keeping it real for you. But at the end of that court hearing, the officer pretty much told the judge, yeah, he's going 82 and a 70, and he was telling the judge, like, I think we should like cancel this ticket. And the judge is like, 82 and a 70, like, why? That's what were you doing, man? I was like, Your Honor, I wasn't even paying attention. Like, everybody was passing me or whatever. I thought, I hadn't even looked at the speed. I was just kind of basing it off of the traffic around me, and I should have obviously been paying attention, but I didn't, And so he was asking the cop, like, are you sure you want me to cancel this ticket? And the officer was like, he's a CDL holder, Your Honor. And the judge is like, oh. So he looks at me, he goes, you better thank this officer here, because, man, he's got your back right here. Because, man, that ticket, that's the kind of ticket can really screw things up for you. I said, oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure I would get fired if it didn't get dismissed, Your Honor. He goes, yep, so ticket dismissed. Have a great day, sir. I'm like, thank you, Your Honor. And then the officer came over, I went over and shook his hand or whatever. It was like, officer, I apologize for the ticket. I thank you for recommending it canceled. I really appreciate that. He said, just keep the speed down, please. He goes, now, just one thing to remember. He goes, we have a saying out there, 9 you're fine, 10 you're mine. So I was like, so basically 9 or below, you're not going to mess with us, but 10 and over, we're getting a ticket. He goes, yeah, pretty much. All right, cool. I was like, I had figured, because of all the years where I've gone like 5 to 8 miles an hour over the speed limit, and yet not ever had a problem until I wouldn't pay attention and accidentally crossed that 10 mile an hour mark over the speed limit, and all of a sudden I get flashing lights. So you can drive a little faster, but just to keep it down, guys. Let's keep it safe. So that's me closing it out for this episode, guys. My main point is just keep the speed down, wear your seatbelt, be safe. I'm sure, I know not everyone has loved ones at home. I know some of us might be just ourselves, but there's friends, family, whatever, that people that coworkers possibly that might think of you as a friend or whatever, that would like to be able to talk to you again. They would like to not see a news article about, well, so-and-so was killed in a car accident yesterday. Oh shit, I actually worked with that guy. Or, oh man, I went to school with that guy. Oh no, that's my best friend right there. He just got killed last night. Nobody wants to get any kind of stories like that. So, and it's not worth it, especially if you're somebody who's gotten into a car accident and was really badly hurt but survived, and then you got to deal with sometimes the injuries are like life altering, like you can never do certain things ever again, or maybe you lost. Like, I think the current episode before I got up there to my Illinois drop that I was listening to with the What Was That Like podcast. He's talking to a guy that I guess was driving his motorcycle, and a car ran a stop sign and clipped. I guess he was passing through the intersection, and this other guy at a stop sign, the guy didn't wait, he gunned it, and he ended up hitting the back of this guy's bike, and I guess he really mangled up his foot, and so he ended up having his foot amputated. And they were talking about how, like, if he didn't have it amputated, that he was told by doctors or whatever that basically for the rest of his life he was going to be having to be on pain meds because he would always be in pain, and probably wouldn't be able to walk effectively or whatever. And so he opted to go ahead and just amputate it and basically just go from there. That's the kind of thing, like, and he didn't do anything wrong necessarily, but that guy was the other guy that hit him and did something wrong. But my point is that if you're involved in any kind of accident, especially if it's something like the one I was talking about earlier, where they were going 85 down to 30 mile an hour speed limit or something, and then went off the road and flipped a bunch, and 2 of the 6, they're all real close group of friends, from what it sounded like, and his best friend and one of the other friends were killed in the accident. So And it could have been avoided if they were going 35 or whatever. They would have made it to they probably would have made it to the lake house, and he would have been on the show being interviewed by this by the podcast host on the What Was That Like, you know. So just one of those things. If one decision had been a little bit different, then two guys might still be alive today, and who knows, you know. But anyway, guys, on that note, I'll go ahead and close it off with that. I don't want to talk you guys' ear off too much, but I appreciate you guys being here. As always, got the email address out there, blogshowpodcast@gmail.com, and pretty soon, I don't know when, if I'm going to do it this weekend or if I'm going to, it might still be a couple weeks, but pretty soon I'm planning to do what I can to at least get at least the basic Blodgett Show podcast website up. There might not be a whole lot to it when I first get it up. Probably just have some information about the show, and then like contact info, and the links to on where you like for a couple of the different platforms like iHeart, Spotify, and stuff. Because I'm on a bunch of platforms. Obviously, I don't think I'll list all the links because when I share especially because lately when I do the Storytime Fridays, I go ahead and I end up sharing those on the different platforms. On Facebook, Twitter, or Twitter X, I should say, Instagram, TikTok, and I'm on another social media called UHive that you guys might not have heard about. It's a pretty cool platform, but and I basically when I share those platforms, I usually just list Spotify and iHeart, even though I'm on like Google Podcasts. And I think I'm still pending approval with Apple, but I know there's a bunch of other random ones that I've never heard of that I'm scrolling through a list. And so a lot of them were like one click, like I was able to click submit and basically, all right, congratulations, you submitted this platform. Like, cool, all right, just me trying to be out there as much as I can and try to have as many people have access to the show as possible, And I know as we keep going, things are gonna get better. We're gonna keep growing and gonna get the website up, and there's gonna be other things out there. Like, eventually there'll probably be Blodgett Show merchandise that I'll be offering, maybe mugs or towels or whatnot, little things to give you guys little souvenirs, little money raising type stuff. But anyway, on that note, guys, just keep being positive, keep believing, keep pushing forward. Believe you can, believe you will, and you're already halfway there. Any questions, comments, concerns, or if there's topics you would like to talk about, like you want me to cover, then definitely drop me an email and let me know, and I'll do my best to research whatever topic you guys might recommend, and we'll cover it. Unless it's something like superly inappropriate, obviously I might not be able to do it. But if it's one of your average everyday type topics, that's not going to be like, hey, you have to be 18 plus to hear this information. But yeah. So on that note, guys, I really appreciate you guys being here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for listening. Please do like, follow, and share this podcast. And thank you for joining me on Real Talk Tuesday. And come back on Friday, because we'll have another story for you on the next round of Storytime Friday on the Blodgett Show. Once again, I'm Chris. I'm your host. And I will talk to you guys on episode 63. Have a good one.